Please rise for silent invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance.
Amen.
Now, Noah, my special guest, will help us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Noah. Appreciate your help, buddy. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Grubbs,
Present.
Councilman Bastian,
Here.
Councilman Stiltner,
Here.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. All are here. All are present. We have a quorum. Item 4, discussion, setting maximum millage, maximum operating millage rate for fiscal year 23-24. Wayne, you want to recap what our responsibilities are and where we're at in the process and what we have to do tonight?
I want to have our assistant manager, John McKinney, do that for you as he goes forward. Everybody knows he's here. We're having electrical issues from the storm today, so the microphones are not picking up, so you're going to have to speak up when people talk. So for that purpose going forward, to make sure everybody's aware of it. It is recording from a minute standpoint, but we're not picking it up from a projection standpoint.
Okay. So we are audio only.
We are not broadcasting.
There's no video for it because there's no audio that can go out
Okay.
to anybody. It will just be us sitting here silent.
So no one's watching at home.
Correct.
So Tracy better pay close attention. Take good notes. Mr. McKinney.
Mayor, Council, how are y'all this evening?
Good.
This evening, we're going to be discussing 3 items. The maximum millage for the operating fund, which is the general fund, the voted debt service millage, and the public hearing dates. So currently, the general fund is at a budget of $58,006,784. Since we met last July 11th, we've received some additional state revenues, so we are able to, at this point in time, reduce the working millage asked from council from 5.1661 to 5.06. That 5.06 relates to 13.84% increase over the current rollback rate, which is 4.4447. My ask this evening is, as we continue to receive, revenue estimates from the state, which we have not received all of them as yet, as we continue to go through looking at our operating expenditures, we do feel that number will continue to reduce, but we ask that you'll consider setting the maximum millage at least 5.06.
John, what estimates are we still waiting for from the state?
We are still waiting on the local option gas tax, communication service tax. Those are the last 2.
Local option gas tax generally covers our road maintenance program, and the communication services tax is a whopping big one.
So of that money, we have the opportunity, seeing that, we have streets funds and whatnot, some of the items that we pay for, we might have an opportunity to pay with that. But the communication service tax is the biggest one. And as we continue to go through negotiations, I feel that we will be able to reduce some of the expected expenditures with that as well.
And draw attention just to the package, so that what you're looking at on the screen here, the yellow line was where we were at the workshop a couple weeks back. The 5.01, whatever, 06 that's here now, when we sent you the package Friday, it was actually 5.1, so we've gotten more information since Friday. So just making sure that everybody knew that got what they, or looked at what they saw on Friday. This is actually lower than it was Friday. So it continues to work down, as John said, as more information comes in and we have more thorough information on cost and revenue, we've been able to keep lowering it.
And I continue to work with the department heads that's behind me, going through their anticipated operational costs as well.
Do we have any feel for whether or not we think the gas tax and communication services tax are going to be relatively flat compared to what we got last year? a slight increase, slight decrease?
Well, from what we have so far, it's been an increase, so I would anticipate it to be an increase of another couple, at least a couple $100,000.
So the questioning to that, John, is if we stayed the same tax on communications from last year to this year, what does that do to the 5.06? Does it continue to drop it?
Can you repeat that, please?
Compared to last year to this year, if it comes in being the same, the 5.06, does it drop or does it stay the same?
Well, if the taxes come in at the same rate, it would stay at 5.06. If we were to get another couple $100,000, we could at least get it down to 5.025.
Okay.
Reed, what have you got, questions?
I'm
Taking it
still
in?
listening, yeah, I'm taking it in, because 5.06 isn't even on here on this slide that I have.
Yeah, our grade line on our information is
I'm sorry,
5.10.
I'm looking at an old packet.
One on the screen.
I see it on the screen again.
Yeah. We literally just finished this afternoon.
Okay.
Drew, what you got?
And looking at if we set it at 5.06, how much of an increase is that above our current millage? Am I right, about 4.5%-ish?
Okay, so current millage, okay, so I just want to make sure I say this properly.
Okay.
The 5.06 over the current millage rate, which is 4.861,
Yes.
It's about 4.5%.
Okay, so,
Email this package to you.
is 4.09%.
okay, so just a tick over 4%. Okay, I was looking at that right
But
there.
it's 13.84% over rollback.
And we're not at rollback, but, okay, so, all right, and, yeah, if additional revenue comes in, we could chip away at that then a little bit. It's not gonna fall dramatically, but we could probably chip it down a little bit, okay.
And as I stated, as we have information that comes in on our health insurance and whatnot, if we have any indicators, we might be able to adjust that. So we will be working on our our general fund budget up to and including right before the final hearing. The budget is a fluid process up until then.
Fluid is in through a funnel.
The same amount of money.
I mean, myself, I would personally, I don't want to support anything more than 4.9995 myself, as a benchmark. That's about 12.47% above rollback still, and I'd like us to find a way to get in single digits, and I know that we're not done with this, but, we're probably smack dab in the middle of it too. Before we move on, council, other questions or comments I want to hear from the public. Anyone here want to comment or question? There being none, back to council. Final comments or questions for staff? Drew?
Nothing right now, Mayor.
Tracy?
I think one of the things that everybody likes to look at the numbers, and 13% is scary, but it's understanding what the millage actually is. When we go to current, John, when we go to current at the 4.8 to where you're looking at it 5.06, it's realistically, we're talking a percentage of 4% increase. It's not the 13%. It's 13 overall is what everybody's getting taxed on, but it's an increase of 4% if that's worst case scenario, without the other monies coming in that we're talking about to drop it some. So I think what happens here is a lot of people look at that 13%. That's what gets publicized, is that we got a 13% millage rate. Overall picture, yes, but the increase is not 13%. We're talking 4%. I think that's one of the big concerns people have, is what is the actual increase? The actual increase is 4%. Am I wrong?
Over last year's rate.
Over last year's rate.
Yeah, 4% over our current rate.
What would be published in the newspaper as part of the final public hearing, if you were to go with 5.06, it would state 13.84%
Yeah,
Over
because
rollback.
over rollback.
over rollback.
Yes, sir. It does not allow for me to post what the percentage is over the current millage.
Yeah, gotta look at the paper.
Reed?
We could post that on.
Yeah, John, just real quick, can you touch on, was it strictly, state revenues so far that got us from 516 to 506? It was just revenues, getting questions answered?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood how we got there. Obviously, I wasn't here at the first workshop. I did watch along, and I thank Drew for keeping my seat warm over here that night. So, but yeah, Tracy, it's really interesting. Millage is such a convoluted concept when you try to explain it. It's not easy, but you know, rollback would be. So I have two properties. I have one that is homesteaded, and that's where I live, and that's where I lay my head every night. And then I have another one that's a rental property. That rental property is going to go up by roughly 13.84%. Now, my homestead is going to prevent me from going any higher than the cap. But so that's what we talked about last year with it being such a difficult thing is, so Port Orange has the most homesteaded properties in Volusia County. And so when it comes down for us to actually need to raise taxes to pay for things, when inflation runs away to 9%, we got to still pay for roads. We still got to paint them. We still need to take care of our employees, our unions. We still have to make sure all the lights are on in the building and staff gets taken care of. We can only get 3% from all these homesteaded properties. Meanwhile, we have our businesses who are actually the ones who play the big load of this. And it makes it really challenging. But that's why they make us publish it the way they do, is because it does affect people, you know. On one side, I know what it's like to be the homestead homeowner, and on the other side, I know what it's like to be the business that's going to take the whole brunt of it. So it's a complicated formula.
Me personally, I told you where I am personally, but I'm not overjoyed with anything that really pushes the needle beyond and into the fives as far as millages rate. I am very proud of the fact that we've been able to manage ourselves efficiently for so long. Some years better than others, without a doubt, where we're always in the lower quartile of cities and millage rates. Part of it is how we manage it. Part of it is having a right mix of tax base between business and personal. You know, facts are that budgets are always a work in process before we're done. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
I'm sorry, just one quick question for John. John, is there a mechanism, and I'm not sure if I'm going to ask this question with the right words, but hopefully you'll understand what I'm getting at. Is there a mechanism to show the residents who are homesteaded what the actual increase is reflected upon them with all of the
tax district?
yeah, well, not so much that, but how homestead exemption works, Save Our Homes Act, all that kind of stuff. Is there a mechanism in place to show like what that really ends up impacting them comparatively to this chart?
So I can very easily show someone what their taxes were last year versus what their projected taxes are to be next year. If someone has a question regarding all of their exemptions, et cetera, they would need to call the property appraiser for that explanation. I can get pretty close.
You used in one of the workshops, you used a taxable value number.
Yes, sir.
And I guess maybe also that number, is there a way to be able to say, assuming that this is the average taxable value and this is a homesteaded property in the city of Port Orange?
Yeah, I think he's trying to get at more general than, you're not going to get sued by some homeowner for giving the wrong number. He just generally saying,
I'm not looking forward tonight, but as we kind of work through
we
this.
go up 14%, you can't.
Yeah.
The homestead person won't go up 14
Right.
with their cap.
And I think that's maybe way more relative to our discussions up here than we've ever really had before, because we have so many. I mean, it is such a huge percentage of our community that falls into that classification. Right, 2/3, that I think it's worthy of coming up with some reasonable way to give that number, even though we can asterisk as, hey, this doesn't mean this applies to every single person. Everybody's got different exemptions, but generally speaking, this is what it would mean. So,
Yes, sir.
again, I'm not looking for it tonight, but
This is from July 11th. This doesn't have any of the current information that I'm presenting to you this evening, but
Right.
I can get, pretty close to, you know, I mean, I literally, when I do this slides, I went to the property appraiser's website, got their final bill from last year, put what the estimates were in, and when I did this, I was very clear, I was missing 3 millage rates. I've got 2 missing millage rates over the last 2 days. Only one I'm missing now is on Halifax Hospital District, but I'm pretty close.
And so like in that scenario, John, good, thank you for bringing that up. So like in that scenario, we're saying that in that scenario, the dollar value that actually is going to increase is $13.27 for the year.
Yes, sir.
So I guess my question would be is if we can continue to use that as we go through the rest of the budget season and as we make changes to the millage or whatever, use that as a kind of our model, so to speak, but give that to us in a percentage, which I know that's like.
That was 5.166 is what that one was.
Correct. I will update that accordingly and have that available.
Okay.
And, do you prefer?
I think you follow what I'm looking for,
value,
right? What's that?
Or do you prefer that taxable value or the one that I shared with you, after? The one.
I mean, whatever's the closest representation of the average.
I'll work with the city manager.
Look at that.
Value together for you.
I see that one with the assessed value of 190. That seems kind of low. Aren't most of the homes closer to the 250
so
range?
Can you, so John talked to me after that meeting to kind of give me a better. Can you explain
Yes, sir.
how that number comes about? Because it's actually.
Yeah, I know the assessed value is
Actually-
far less than market value.
Correct.
It's actually
So,
extremely
I
valid.
actually, after July 11th, I went to the property appraiser. I found out, you know, I did 0 to 100,000, 100 to 250,
Okay.
so on and so forth. And when it came down, the majority of our homes, 13,000 something of them, were in that block of 100,000 to 250.
Okay,
Of those 250, you know, I'm sorry, in that block, the average of those homes had a taxable value,
okay,
not market value,
Yeah.
taxable value of an average of 170,000.
okay.
So you went to the median and took the mean inside the median.
That the average homeowner within that block had lived there for 10 years.
Okay.
So, you know, so if you look at the bigger block,
So it reflects that long-term Save Our Homes,
Yes, sir.
savings, and
I've
then,
even looked at, you know,
Okay.
homes that, you know, if they've lived
Yeah.
in some cases, their taxes are less today than it was
Yeah.
10 years ago.
and we can't control any of the other taxing authorities, so this home's obligation to Port Orange at the 5.16 rate would go up $14, $13.27.
Correct. Well, yes, if we were at 5.1661,
Yeah,
that's what it would be. I don't have my laptop with me to tell you what that number would be.
okay, so
At 5.06.
let's just assume a little over $1 a month,
Yeah, it would be
Okay.
less than this.
and that's the obligation to our city. Perfect. Okay.
Well, and I just think that that's so relative to how our community is, because like John, I saw you looked at, you know, like the neighborhood I live in, for
Yeah.
example, you've got a lot of homes out there that their market values today might be $550,000 to $600,000.
Yeah, their assessed value is nowhere near
Their
that.
taxable assessed values, in many cases, are under $200,000
Yeah, yeah.
because of those provisions.
Yeah.
So.
I think mine
A
last.
good example of that actually is because I purchased this home where I live now 3 years ago and moved into it. That home, the taxes in my mortgage, which were included, right? They were half what they were once I purchased the home.
Because it resets when
And
you.
even my
look at-
assessed value is not that of what I paid for my home.
Okay.
So it's, like I said, this is so complicated
Yeah.
and convoluted. All, you know,
Those assessments are based on time certain, January 1st of this year as well.
And using percentage is flawed because it's based on the size of your numerator and denominator in the equation. So if you know, 100% increase if you go from 2 to 4.
right.
But if you go from 5,000 to 5,002, it's a tiny percent increase. So we have a lower tax base. And so when the same amount of money for us to get $2 million more to run the city is a much higher increase in percentage above rollback than the cities with a larger tax base. So when you're using
Gotcha.
percentages, you're biasing it by our smaller tax roll too.
Especially when you factor in we are middle of the pack on growth. We are not the leader in growth anymore, and we haven't been for some time. There are 5 or 6 cities with higher growth rates than us, and that revenue from new growth supplants what you need to make the same budget. The county budget last year expanded by $15 million.
Right.
And they were at rollback. Yet they were able to spend $15 million more because of growth. You know, everybody said, well, we didn't raise taxes. Well, yeah, but you had more revenue.
Well, they have
They raised,
a whole lot of more parcels than we.
they raised money without raising taxes.
City of Daytona Beach has this, and New Smyrna Beach are growing at very rapid rates. They could go below rollback and still raise more revenue, as opposed to a city like us, with so many homesteaded homes and much lower growth rate. This is what you need to do to
Well,
get the
yeah,
same revenue.
and I think I remember a stat you showing us, we're at approximately 63 or 64% of our properties are homesteaded,
62%.
62%, and Daytona was in the mid to upper 30s, if I remember.
Now it's an improvement for them because
Yeah.
5 years ago, they were in the high 20s.
So, I mean, they have, they obviously have more parcels, but they have half the percentage of homesteaded homes that we have. So they're creating a lot bigger base.
Well, and on the percentage note, I thought Wayne made a really good point. If you're South Daytona that has a 775 and you add, 0.2 to your millage, that percentage is
Yeah.
minuscule compared to the same percentage for us to add 0.2
Yeah.
because we're sitting here so low at 4.8.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how that percentage number is just made up. At the end of the day, what I look at is how much more is it costing, and we're asking for $3 million more to run the city than last year. And ultimately, Chase sat here for 2 years. I listened to him. He's not wrong when he sat here. He said you can't spend $3 million more every single year to run the city. It can't be in the budget every year to just constantly go up by that amount of money. But when you have inflation, when you have all these reasons that you actually need the money, like I said, roads aren't going to pay themselves, sidewalks aren't going to fix themselves, they're not going to paint the lines on the road. We have to pay for all that. We just had
And we cannot fall off on public safety.
No, and absolutely not. But we just had a increase of 15% that we approved on consent the other day for them to stripe the roads. That it's a 15% increase for us to do what we've been doing. Let alone when you get into all the other things that come along with that.
Umpires for the sports.
Umpires.
Tell me
for
anything it cost you the
police,
same 5 years ago, much less last year.
I think my Netflix subscription has gone up even the last couple of years, so I don't think I have anything.
Council comments or questions? Any other councilman with comments or questions? There being none, I would ask for a motion. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Let me see. So, all right, I'll throw it out there. I'll make the motion to set the max millage rate at 5.0600. Come on, guys.
Do I have a second?
I'll second so we can put it on the table for a vote.
We have a motion and a second to set the max millage rate at 5.0600 and a proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Council comments or questions?
I think that I want to echo Don's remarks. In my time I've been here now, in my budget cycles, I've put faith in the city to bring back something that's not what the max is. And we've done that, I believe, 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 11? 9 out of 11 times, even prior to my tenure here. I'm really, really hesitant to go with a 506 because I can't in good conscience tell you that barring something coming before me that I'm not aware of sitting here today, anything with a 5 handle is going to be a no for me when that max millage comes along. Unless you bring something to the table that I just haven't, if there's something that happens that I'm not aware of right now. I'm still open-minded to taking care of whatever we need to take care of. But to give you a 506 as a max, it comes with I can give that to you now so you can keep working. It's not so that we can set that and ride it all the way out till September.
Again, this is just a suggested max,
Right.
and I'm expecting it to come down, but we have to start somewhere, and they have to have flexibility to continue to negotiate and find out what the revenues are. So, this is just the max, not the,
Right.
not what we'll sign in September.
And 2 for 2 on getting that right. 2 for 2 that we've set the max and you guys have lowered it.
Let's hear from the public. Would anyone here care to speak to the item that's on the floor for discussion? There being none, back to us. Final comments, council? On the max millage rate of 5.0600, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
No.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
No.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
No. Oh, wait a second, call my name?
Mayor Burnett.
No. I already told you where I was at. I'll entertain another motion.
Donna, is that your max, and you want to work down from that?
John, ask you one more
You get me
question.
close to, you get me close to that, I'll consider it, but I need,
You stated that with the communication tax and gas tax, if that all came in the way you think it's going to happen, it should bring it in as an estimated as 5.025.
Is that a motion? Or is that a?
I need a motion so we can have further discussion.
I'll make a motion to set the max millage rate at 4.9999.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to set the max millage rate at 4.9999. We have also a proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Council comments or questions? Anyone here from the public care to comment on the item? Mr. Schmidt?
Point of clarification, council member. So the 4.999, that's the most you can go then, that's set tonight.
Correct.
That's the most you can go. All right, that's all I need to know.
That would represent about a 12.5% increase over rollback.
About a 2.64
Over the current rate.
million increase in dollars revenue.
2.5,
You get that about right, John?
Yes, sir. 6.
That's still, and that is still a massive increase. That is a massive
lot of money.
increase.
Final comments, council? I'll just say this. I said that the max that I would support was 4.9995, and this is .0004 over that. But with the I'll be sane.
Couldn't find another place to put a 9.
I'll be sane. On the item of 4.9999, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
No.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes. Item passes 4-1. With that, I want to announce that we have 2 public hearings, first and second reading of the budget to set the final millage rates. The first is on September 6th at 5:30. The second public hearing will be on September 20th at 5:30. Both public hearings will be held here at 5:30 p.m. in the City Council chambers here at City Hall 1000 City Center Circle, Port Orange, Florida, and will be properly advertised thusly. Any other business come before us? John, did we cover it all?
Show them the budget book and explain to them what you're going to be getting to them here, so yeah.
So by August 10th, you have a proposed budget book, which will include the necessary millage that we will need for balancing the budget. So that will go out August 10th, even though it's on your calendar of August 11th, simply because I will not be here. So I would like to get this done before I'm out actually on vacation. The only thing that's not being covered,
And we think those state dollars will be in before then?
oh yes, sir, I've never seen it come in, it's always come in before the end of July.
Okay.
And we gave you the book last year if you're not familiar, but it covers the funds in a little bit more detail. It allows you to see where the depth of those
Looks
numbers
better.
are. Yeah.
It does, actually.
That's
Budget light.
He's got a couple more weeks before September 5 to finish the full,
And I just find a way to lighten up the budget.
so you do have to cover this geo bus.
Cost less from this.
Ah, see.
You
And make
have to
dollars.
say that under the record.
Yes, sir. I just have one other millage rate that I just have to, it's not a voted, it's,
The
you know.
go
it's-
bond.
Yes, sir. We have the 2016 general obligation refunding bonds. The GO bond millage rate that is required is 0.1885. That, we have an outstanding debt of that of 8.695 million, and the required debt service for fiscal year '24 is $903,619, and that millage rate covers that 100%.
Okay.
Do we need to set that, or?
No, we just need to announce that tonight. That will also be part of the 2 public hearings in September.
That is correct.
Okay. Any other business come before us this evening?
Just one thing that's not budget related, and I know we're not broadcasting, so we'll make sure it gets out on social, but Mike just found out, that Transform 386 the county's doing to help with hurricane recovery. They did announce a meeting at our library Monday, 3:30 to 5:30, so we'll make sure that gets
Yeah,
out,
one.
so they will be here. Since we won't have another meeting prior to that, we just want to make sure that you know it, and we'll get it out on social media.
And you do me a favor and make sure it hits our emails as well. I'd appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you all next week.